Muslim as others, that somehow they don't belong here.
Freedom of speech only applies to a certain segment of society.
Do you think UK government is doing enough to tackle Islamophobia?
Well, up to now, my answer is no. The Home Office figures show every year the highest number of religious crimes against the community is the Muslim. Which is bordering between 40 to 50% of that share is against the single community. And let's not forget, they're only about 5%. So you see then the scale that we are talking about.
Anti-Muslim hate crime concerns and experiences in September. Before the riots, 17% said we're very worried about hate crime, but after the riots, about 73% were very worried, so it's just skyrocketed.
I'm here to protest against the rise of Islamic extremism in the UK and Europe.
Do you worry that this demo is going to make normal Muslim people feel unsafe in this town?
I feel unsafe. I feel unsafe. It's not the white Christians that are causing any trouble. It's the Muslims who are causing the trouble.
Playing that somehow Muslims are other, it then becomes the problem. And then I think you also see issues like grooming, then how that is magnified and focused. When if you look at the whole issue, what happens in this area, it is not this Pakistani group actually who are the biggest. It is the white indigenous men who are the biggest.
A lot of people have been going out on the marches for the last 18 months, repeatedly, thankfully. People are not forgetting about the human rights abuses in Gaza. But unfortunately, some politicians and some sections of the media are trying to frame those marches as supporters of Hamas.
46% of British Muslims in this country back Hamas. They support Hamas.
People who are actually marching for peace, for a ceasefire, are as hate mongers. So how this been twisted, warped, and this sort of being peddled.
Earlier on BBC News, we reported on some of the pro-Palestinian demonstrations at the weekend. We spoke about several demonstrations across Britain during which people voiced their backing for Hamas. We accept that this was poorly phrased and was a misleading description of the pro-Palestinian demonstrations.
And then you also see the media playing its part, that many media's stories are actually very negative about Muslims. And your whole perception of Muslims is based on the narrative that you watch on TV. And then you look at this GB News.
I'll just say it. I think the majority of people in Gaza support Hamas. I think the majority of Palestinians support Hamas. I think they support the slaughter of Jews. I think what you just saw there was the next generation of Islamist terrorists. Look at those pictures there, that imagery. Are these poor, desperate Palestinians? They look like Hamas supporters to me, don't they?
It's the language they use, the targeting they do, and then to put Muslim as others, that somehow they don't belong here, somehow they sort of contradict the British values.
Because people are fearing to sort of sometimes go out on marches, or if they've been on marches, they're just worried that the employer might find out. People are worried about posting support for Palestine and Gaza on their social media posts. We're really worried it's going to curb our freedom of speech. But it looks like that freedom of speech only applies to a certain segment of society. The previous government made, I think, Islamophobia worse.
Do you think UK government is doing enough to tackle Islamophobia?
Well, up to now, my answer is no.